Welcome to the Real Life Happy Hour. I'm Karen Mackay from Real Life Meditation, and I'm really excited that you're joining me again as we talk all things meditation and just life in general. So this week's special, it's the 20th of March is International Day of Happiness, and it's also my birthday. So I'm pretty excited that the International Day of Happiness is on my birthday. And so happiness is what we're going to talk about today. And people in general are pretty bad at judging and identifying what is going to make them happy. And when I'm talking about happiness, it's just that kind of general feeling of things being well. So it's not a constant thing, like there's no one in the world who is always happy, but it's also not necessarily just the fleeting bursts of kind of extreme joy that we often associate with happiness. So you can be generally pretty happy even when things and experiences are varying between being fairly positive and even fairly negative. And so there's some really interesting work by a guy named Rick Hanson. So he's a neuropsychologist and researcher, and he's also a meditation teacher. And he talks a lot about hardwiring happiness and I guess setting yourself up for a happy mindset. And what does he mean by that? So our brains create our environment. They create our experience. And our brains are pretty ancient. So we're still working with the same kind of hardware that we had when we were living in small nomadic tribes. So the brain works fairly much on a kind of positive and negative reward system for learning about the world. So it's like a carrot and stick situation. So carrots are kind of positive things that happen and that lead to you gaining something or pleasurable experiences. And then the sticks are when, pain and danger and threats. And you learn from both of those. But in nature, it's much more important to be aware of the sticks than it is to be aware of the carrots. So if you miss a carrot today, then you can just look for a carrot tomorrow. But if you miss a stick that's deadly, then you never get to look for a carrot again. So our brains are actually wired with a negativity bias. What does that mean? So basically what it means is our brains are more likely to notice and react to negative experiences than they are to positive experiences. And in reality, what that looks like is, say you go in to talk to your boss or you go into a social situation and 9 out of the 10 things that happen are positive. People compliment you on what you're wearing at a party, you have great conversations. One person doesn't like you. The thing that you're going to think about when you go to sleep that night is the one person who didn't like you, or the one negative thing out of 20 that your boss said about your performance. And that's had in the past a pretty good evolutionary benefit, in that the people who were aware of the sticks and who were paying attention to what could happen and the negative things were more likely to survive. But what does it mean in our kind of life today? It means that we spend a lot of time and a lot of our brain energy is spent on looking for threats. And that feels like a general sense of unease, a general sense of anxiety, and just, not feeling quite settled in the moment. And that's not how we want to live our lives. So it's not all doom and gloom. Even though our brains are, like Rick Hansen says, a little bit like Teflon for good experiences and a little bit like Velcro for negative experiences, our brains are also able to change. So there is this concept called neuroplasticity, which basically says that we can rewire our brain. And how we do that is by training our brain to activate pathways that we want to see more of. It's like neurons that fire together, wire together is the way they describe it. And so what we can do are simple practices where we savor and really pay attention to positive, happy, enjoyable experiences. And that gives them more weight. It helps us to remember them better, and it helps us to give them more chance of being stored and remembered, and for us to feel them. And so in any day, there'll be a number of really small but positive and enjoyable things that we might do. So we might have a cup of tea or coffee in the morning. And for most of us, we're just rushing through that, trying to get other stuff done. And we drink it without really even noticing it. Or we might have a delicious meal, or we might talk to a friend, or have an interesting or fun conversation with a colleague at work. But we just let those moments pass. So what we can do is, with a bit of awareness, is when we're doing something that's pleasurable or enjoyable in our day, as big or small as it might be, is just take a few moments to actually enjoy it. So sit down with your cup of tea and notice the tastes of every sip, and notice the feeling of your comfortable chair that you're sitting in, or you might want to go outside and look at the sunrise, or at the trees waving in the breeze, whatever it might be. But really noticing all of the things that are happening, using all of your senses. So what can you see? What can you smell and taste and feel? And what emotions does it bring up? And really feel it. And then the other thing that we can do is we can actually bring back positive experiences that we've had and savor them again. So that's the other technique that you can do. And what you do for that is, and it's a nice time to do this, is right before you go to bed, or right when you're sitting in bed before you go to sleep, is think back over your day and think of one really small but enjoyable thing that you did that day, and then bring it back and take it in. So, remember what it felt like. Remember who was there. Remember the things that, the funny things that someone said, or the delicious taste of whatever it was that you ate, and experience it again and feel like it's sinking in. You almost want to feel like this positive sensation and these positive feelings are seeping into your very bones. And that's savouring. And what does that do? It just wires our brain to pay attention to the positive things. If we do this every day, take small moments to actually sit in the moment and enjoy what we're doing, or what we're eating, or that what was happening, and then also going back and using those moments again to savor and enjoy them. And you can also do this if you're going through a hard time. So if you're having a really bad day, bring back something that was really enjoyable and experience that to help counterbalance the negative experiences that you're feeling. And it can just remind you that there is good and there is pleasurable things that you can do. So that's it for this week. Just really short and simple. Take 5 minutes and just savor what you're doing right now, or bring back something pleasurable from your memory and savor that. really deeply get into it. Now, I will share some links below to some really interesting some work by Rick Hansen. So I'll send you the link to his blogs and his website. And also, if you're really interested in what actually makes us happy, and it's not the things that we normally think, like having $1 million or anything like that, there's a great podcast called The Science of Happiness. And so based on the science of happiness, and it's called the Happiness Lab, I think. So I will share that one below as well, because that is really fun. If you like listening to podcasts, I really enjoyed that one. So have a great week, take a moment and enjoy some happiness.